Going on to all my you fans out there, and welcome back to the channel. We are back breaking down this 4th season, part 1, episode 3, titled Eat the Rich. Now, to me, this season has gotten better and better, and even though this episode was the shortest out of the 3 so far, it definitely had a lot to offer, and I'm so excited to be breaking it all down for you all. But before we get into the breakdown, just a friendly reminder that this is a part of a series of reviews in which I'm individually reviewing each episode of this first part. So if you want to get my thoughts on episode 1 and 2, and you want to know my thoughts on episode 4 and 5, you can find those reviews in the description of this very video. With that being said, we got a 3rd episode to break down. Full spoilers ahead. As we see, the stalker has gotten to Jonathan after exposing his past with these articles for Joe to see exactly what this stalker is capable of, which is simply destroying his life. But more importantly, this individual not only knows where Jonathan lives, but he's actually entered his safe haven, and Jonathan must ghost this person to regroup. As now the Eat the Rich killer is born, as Malcolm's finger was sent to the London Dispatch with a note that he's been murdered, and this is being connected to Simon's murder. So clearly this killer, or killers, enjoys being in the headlines and seems to be cocky and flashy, which probably will work against them, but we see this forces Jonathan to play their game, and he has their full attention. But the question is, what does this individual or individuals want from Jonathan? They want him to admit that he's Joe, and also, why did he kill all those people from his past? This person is willing to blackmail Jonathan and uses Simon's ear attached to Jonathan's name as leverage, which definitely gets Jonathan's attention even more. Now we see Jonathan notices how upset Nadia is after learning of Malcolm's death, which adds more fuel to the fire of them having potentially more than just a professor and student relationship, and it was definitely more intimate than what it seems, which we actually get that confirmation a little bit later. But in the meantime, we see Kate continues to give Jonathan the cold shoulder and sends the police to investigate him, and we know Jonathan doesn't need that particular attention. He is actually quick on his feet, lets the police know that Simon was involved and there was a painting fraud situation, and he actually brings Blue into the mix, and for now it seems to work, as the stalker messages Jonathan that he wants them to do something, which is kill Kate. As we finally get the confirmation that Nadia and Malcolm did have a relationship, as she is caught at Jonathan's door to find a letter that would expose her, but we know Jonathan's a nice guy. He agrees to help her out, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Cut to Jonathan. He attends Malcolm's funeral to see if he can spot the killer, and one by one he can't seem to place the killer, but there is a brief moment in which we see a man with long black hair bumps into Jonathan, doesn't say sorry, and I think that's something important to remember, which we'll get into that ring here in a second. But we see, after listening to Reese's kind words at Malcolm's funeral and exchanging some words with Vic, Jonathan must keep an eye on Kate and tries to continue to get on her good side, but strikes out yet again. But he must follow her in order to catch this killer who wants her dead. We see he manages to share this moment in which Kate isn't being mean and actually shares her childhood and how she was taught and raised to hide her emotions and her feelings, which actually explains why she's been so cold in this season so far. She then goes upon to take him to her favorite spot. Also, you'll notice that there's someone kind of watching them while all this is going on. The little game of cat and mouse leads to something that I think we all saw coming, full pun intended. We see Kate and Jonathan sleeping together, and it appears that the person following them was Vic. Now, Jonathan takes this advantage to look for that letter for Nadia, finds the letter, but ends up getting caught by Kate in the process, and this romance is short-lived as she kicks him out, but more importantly, he did manage to get that letter. See, the killer takes the opportunity to tell Joe who they think that Joe is, as they tell Joe that they believe that he protects those that he loves, and he actually enjoys the feeling of killing. As we see during this moment that Kate pays a visit to Malcolm as Jonathan listens to her venting, which we see Vic followed Jonathan and finds Malcolm's missing ring in his back pocket, and they have a bit of a fight, which leads to Jonathan defending himself and actually unfortunately killing Vic in the process, and we see that he buries Vic next to Simon. So we know that the killer must have been within inches of Jonathan to have planted that ring, or maybe Kate, when they were sleeping together, put the ring in his back pocket. I'm also in the frame of mind that there are, as I've been saying in this review, not just one killer, but multiple killers involved. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. We see the killer or killers have taken this opportunity to yet again mock Jonathan, but this time it actually works as he's starting to crack and messages back with some not so kind words, including that he is determined to ending this person's life. But Jonathan catches himself before sending it and notices that this person is lonely and plays into their hand and admits to enjoying killing, but will they take the bait? Meanwhile, Nadia picks up the letter as Jonathan gives her the year of the magical thinking, which is actually a book about a author who lost her husband. And it's also a book that kind of dives into the process of grieving and loss, which would be a perfect book for someone like Nadia who just lost someone to read. Gotta go back to this meeting, and the killer takes the bait and wants to meet soon. We end on this episode with Jonathan going to meet Penelope, but we see that the whole crew is there, and not only the crew is there, but the police are there wanting to talk to Jonathan. So breaking it all down, to me, we see this relationship between Jonathan and Kate. I think it's going to continue to evolve, even though that she says otherwise. Also, speaking of relationships, Nadia and Malcolm, I've been saying it for the very beginning, especially in episode 2. I think that their relationship is very important, but more important, that letter has to be key. And I think Jonathan may regret not actually reading that letter, because I think it says something about maybe revenge, murder, money. I got my eye on Nadia, but also, who was that mysterious person who bumped into Jonathan at the funeral? I think this whole Vic killing will probably have some more importance to this season, because technically, not only from a narrative perspective, but from a character perspective, this was technically the first official kill that Joe has committed this season. Now, when it comes to, is this Eat the Rich killer a part of the crew, or maybe was a part of the crew at one point, or they were done wrong with the crew? That's the big question. Who is the killer? And like I said, or potentially killers? Let me know your suspect list in the comments below. I appreciate you all watching and listening to this breakdown. Again, just a friendly reminder before you all leave, if you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up, share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course, check out my reviews for episode 1 and 2. And again, episodes 4 and 5 are also available on the channel, so check that out. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my series of reviews for this show. Check out my most recent breakdown. You all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.